That time of year, right? The cold temps and dark days can bring, frankly, an overwhelming sense of sadness, worse for some people than others. And since mental health is something that we are very passionate about here on TVL, this morning we are speaking with Dr. Greg Hammer to shed some light on this and hopefully bring you a glimmer of hope this morning. Dr. Greg, first, thank you so much for joining us. I am personally very passionate again about this particular topic and appreciate you taking the time. Again, seasonal depression, I think something that we've all heard of, we're familiar with, but from a medical perspective, what actually is the mind and body experiencing when we talk again about seasonal depression? A lot of factors at play here.
Great to be with you, Peyton. First, I would differentiate what people call the winter blues from actual seasonal depression. Seasonal depression is a more severe disorder, and I would encourage people who are really that depressed, who have difficulty functioning, to get mental health from a professional. The winter blues, on the other hand, is something that many or even most of us experience, just a little sadness during the winter. And I think we can look at three factors. One is light, because exposure to sunlight is so important to our health. For example, at the long wavelength end of the spectrum, many of us know that red light, which is used for therapy for skin and eye disorders and even general energy level and recovering from injuries. A lot of NFL teams have red light panels in their treatment rooms. So red light is therapeutic. Blue light on the other end of the spectrum is activating, which is great in the morning, not so great in the evening before we go to bed. That's why we put our screens away, hopefully an hour before bedtime. So light is very important. In the winter, we just don't get enough of it. So the remedy for that is really to be outside as much as possible, take breaks from work, especially if you're at home, and just go walk around the block. The related thing is exercise, because in the winter, when things are cold and dark, we tend not to get out and exercise as much. So many people who run or bike just don't get enough exercise. So that also affects our mood. And I would say the third is, especially around the holidays, we may be sad about people that we've lost, people that we lost during COVID, or just in general, friends, parents, other family members. So I think light, exercise, and holiday blues can affect all of us.
Yeah, certainly very much so. But we do want to stress that you've come up with a great method, at least, to hopefully kind of get our minds right as best we can. It's called GAIN, and it's 4 steps. Walk me through how you come up with this, what each letter stands for, and how we can put it into practice.
Sure. The GAIN practice is really just a mindfulness practice. We all want to be happy, and yet our brains are wired for survival and not happiness. The good news is our brains have this quality called neuroplasticity, so we can rewire them. How do we do that? Well, we can start the day with a simple 3-minute practice. We do slow, deep, deliberate breathing. This activates our parasympathetic nervous system, calms us down, lowers our heart rate and blood pressure. And then we just do, with our eyes closed, as we breathe slowly, deeply, and deliberately, a self-guided tour of that for which we're grateful, the G in GAIN. Accept those things that are uncomfortable, that we can't change. Use our intention to sort of double down on being more present and more positive. And the N in GAIN is non-judgment, because we do have a negativity bias and we tend to judge everything around us. So we judge it negatively, and that applies to others, the world, and ourselves. Excuse me. So it's a simple mindfulness practice, and we can do it for 3 minutes in the morning and then come back to these principles during the day, especially when we're getting stressed, even just starting with that slow, deep, deliberate breathing.
It's simple, but certainly very powerful. I've got a special admiration for acronyms, so big congratulations to you, Dr. Hammer, for developing that. Last question here, just as we wrap up. To a viewer watching who maybe really is at a really low point, and they're trying the breathing, they're trying to be grateful in a lot of ways, just any kind of final word of wisdom or encouragement from you this morning?
I would say that we are all wired to be negative. We all have this negativity bias. We tend to remember and hold on to the negative and forget about the positive. And I think the message is, this is not our dirty little secret. We're all wired this way. We're all in this together. We can help each other, reach out to a friend. I think just knowing that this is the way our brains are hardwired to begin with is helpful. Then we don't feel so hard on ourselves. And that may lift our mood a bit in and of itself.
Yeah, can give ourselves certainly more grace in that process. Dr. Hammer, thank you for the work that you've done, the life that you've committed to helping other people. We certainly appreciate the time and certainly hope no winter blues come your way. But thank you again so much. We appreciate it. Stay warm.
Thank you, Peyton.
Thanks, my friend.